right, everybody. Welcome to Co-Angler's Corner. This is John Stoudinger, and there's the famous
Cajun Rob. How y'all are? How y'all are?
There we go. So tonight we have a couple special guests. Actually, it's our first time having two guests on. We have Destin, DeMarion, and Tyler, Woak. They fished the Bassmasters team tournament series down in Florida, and they finished 4th place, I believe. So I wanted to have them on and talk about their experience there. So, all right, you ready to bring them on, Rob?
Let's bring them on.
All right, we can do that in a second here. Just got to get to the right screen. There's Destin.
Hey guys.
Hey Destin. How's it going?
Not bad, Rob.
There's
hey guys, how's it going?
There we go.
All right.
All right.
Doing the shuffle.
Yeah, we want to keep you guys up towards the top. That way, when our scrolls come through, they're not cutting you guys off.
So. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Rick is saying,
hey
guys.
Yeah, Rick's always here, man. Rick's
he's a big fan.
Oh yeah, he's super nice guy.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. So if you don't mind talking about your experience down there, I mean, you guys can speak for it. We can't. So have fun. How did you get to that point? Actually, let's start there.
Well, Tyler Shirt will tell the story there. Why don't you tell them about that? Because I was not a complete part of that whole situation.
Okay.
Yeah, so we fish Western PA Team Bass Series. It's a bass sanctioned tournament series out of Western PA. I live right on the border of Northeast Ohio and Western PA. And I tend to like the PA lakes a little bit more. It's a lot of structure fishing, a lot of live scope lakes, and they fish Erie, which is a big draw. So I usually like to fish there. I really like their schedule. And Destin was fishing a lot of the Bassmaster Opens last year because he had to fish all of them to try to qualify last year. So he wasn't around for a long time, and I just have a 16.5 foot with a 50 tracker. Nothing's crazy, but I have Ultrex and Spot Lock and Pan Optics and everything I need to compete. So I grabbed my buddy Nick, who's a pretty big kayak angler, Nick Batista, and we didn't win any in the Western PA. We didn't really even have any super strong like first, second, or thirds, but we had some fourths, some fifths, and a lot of 6s and 7s. And by the end of it, when points came down to it, the top 2 teams that wanted to go could go. And I think we finished 3rd in points, and we were one of the 2 teams that wanted to go. So we went ahead and went down to Florida and qualified. And Destin was the substitute for the Erie tournament. So he was qualified to be my partner for the team championship. And obviously with his rig and his experience down there in Florida, me and Nick pretty much decided it was the right decision to go ahead and go with Destin down there.
I'm glad that was a decision.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't too hard of a decision. Either.
Yeah, so I think I was at Harris Chain at the time when he told me, and I said probably the week before, I was like, Tyler, there's a decent chance that you're going to get a call about going to the team championship. And funny enough, he texted me, and then we called each other. He's like, dude, they just asked if we want to go fish the team championship down there. Do you want to? I was like, oh, I need to talk to my wife and see my vacation and stuff. I was like, dude, let's do it. Why not? I think we can go down there and win. That's what I said. And I mean, it ended up being a pretty fun event out of that. I mean, not knowing what was going to happen, I think we really just had the right mindset going in, just about, it's a business trip, planning ahead, just knowing how we wanted to practice. I mean, I've been there quite a bit. I've had some success there. I've had some tough tournaments, but I've had some good ones there, and I know kind of what to do, what not to do. And we just practiced to win. We didn't practice to catch fish and show up and just have a good showing. We practiced to win the tournament, and we found the fish to win the first day.
Nice.
That's meant to be, man. All your cards got in line, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Rick said he was a marshal down there for a couple days.
That's cool. That's awesome, Rick.
I didn't know they had marshals down.
For the final 2 days, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nice.
there's the fish off with the top 3, and we were 4th.
Yeah, which wasn't very far away. So from you making the final day. But no, thanks for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. I've known Destin for a couple of years fishing the open and stuff like that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't had the pleasure to fish with him. I see his boat all over, especially on Oneida. not too far to go from Oneida. Not too.
Oh man, you gotta teach me how to catch a fish there. That place is brutal for me. It's like my Achilles heel.
Hit it in October.
Oh yeah, that's when it's fun for sure. The fall is like the best bite I've ever been on there.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
So Tyler, have you ever fished? I mean, have you fished major tournaments like that, or just primarily?
This was I'd say a big tournament in Northeast Ohio, Western PA is what you think, Destin, 70, 80,
50. I'd say boats. 50 boats.
Yeah, I mean 50 on it is like a pretty big one, but I'd say our biggest draw of the year is not even probably about right at 100 boats for the biggest event locally for the year. But yeah, we went down there, 250 boats, people from South Africa, Canada, and just like Destin said too, from the start, he reminded me, this isn't going to be super fun every day, especially practice. Yeah, I mean, he's like, it's not going to be very fun. And I think that's one thing that stuck out to me too during practice. I noticed a lot of those guys were there on vacation, and I don't really think a lot of them were seriously looking to win the tournament as much as maybe others were. It was 5-6 big lakes to break down. It was a lot of work, but ironically enough, we stumbled upon that big school of fish in about the first 2.5 hours of practice.
Wow.
So then we had 4 more days to just go and pick it apart. And those next 4 days, as Destin will agree, it was it was brutal, man, to just go around. And we didn't catch many fish in any other places. So there was a lot of fish in a very small area. And to find it as quick as we did, it was almost just like we just fished so hard for the rest of the week. And we're like, man, is that really the only thing we got out of these 6 lakes, 5 or 6 lakes? So we were pretty fortunate to stumble in there and find them.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah. Nicholas Beltran says, "Sup, everyone."
What's up, Nick?
All right. So, Destin, you've fished a lot of the bigger tournaments, and how was this compared to those tournaments? Fishing the opens and elites and all that stuff.
For me, like, the team tournament aspect is so cool. Like, I really, really enjoy that. And Tyler and I fish really well together. We figured that out pretty quickly, that, like, one of us catches a fish, the other one's jumping back and getting it and putting it in the live well and fizzing, a deep smallmouth tournament if you got to. And it just works, it's just seamless. There's no ego in the boat. If he's got an opinion about something, I want him to say it. And I mean, even in the tournament, the one thing he said, I was like, let's do it. And we went over there and he had a giant fish right where we had found the spot, like in practice. So, I mean, you got to listen to both people. That's why it's a team. And I really enjoy that aspect. It was pretty relaxed overall for me. Tournament days were intense, but like it was still relaxed overall. I know how to prepare. I know how to practice. I told Tyler he's going to get a really good take this week on what it takes to win and how you got to prepare to win. And I said, this is what's going to happen in practice, what we need to find, this is what we need to look for. And honestly, it really just fell into place. Like almost everything that we planned kind of happened, which does not happen very often in practice.
Not for us.
No. Tyler and I are self-proclaimed grinders. That's what we do. We like a grinder tournament. We like it to be tough, and it really was. It was tough. Even in the tournament, we knew we just had to stick it out, and our bites were going to come. We weren't going to catch 30 fish, but we're going to catch some of the right fish. And we both decided this is where we need to be. We were very iffy if we were going to be able to get on the spot because we were boat 207 the first day.
Ooh.
So we're waiting the whole time. We're like, dude, are we running all this way for no reason? Are we going to show up and somebody's going to be there and we can't even fish it? And we go through this lake and we look over like, anybody there? Anybody? Oh my gosh, dude, it's wide open. There's not a boat within hundreds of yards of there.
Dang.
So we roll right in and I catch a 4-pounder immediately. I'm like, and we're both like, we need to stay here all day. This is perfect. This is what we need to be doing. And we did.
Nice.
And, it was ebbs and flows. It was up and down. And we made adjustments. The first day we're really trying to hone in on them because we only caught 2 fish there in practice. It was a 5 and a 4. But that's all we needed. I said, I don't want to beat them up. I just want to figure out what the size is. I know if that size of fish is here, there's a reason. There's bigger fish around. We just need to figure out how to catch them, in the tournament.
Yep.
And that's what we did. We ended up catching them on some stuff we didn't throw, in practice. We didn't get bit on some of the stuff we did get bit on in practice. So it was really just an adjustment the whole time. Hey, Andrew.
Andrew Pulliam says, hey, guys. So,
Hey, buddy.
Tyler, since this was, one of your bigger tournaments you fished and practiced with Destin for, what is your take on the practice and what leads up to being successful in one of these tournaments?
I think it's just being good and confident with your electronics, especially in wintertime down there. A lot of people, especially me from up north, all you hear about Florida is the flipping bite and the frog bite and the big swim bait bite on docks and stuff. But we didn't really see much of that down there. And if we did, they were just bucks. It seemed like all those big females were out there on the shell and offshore. And that's really like what we like to do. So I didn't really know much about that bite to begin with. So when first day of practice, I'm catching a 5-pounder on a football jig, my confidence was through the roof day one.
Dude, yeah.
And then, we started breaking down these other lakes throughout the week. And it was just like, man, this grass bite's a grind, like just a total grind. We were going hours between bites. We had one decent day at Apopka, I think, right?
We had a good day in Griffin and Apopka. We had probably like 15 or 16 pounds in Griffin one day. Yeah, and then we probably had Apopka. We left some big fish behind in Apopka too. But did you break a big one off there, or just
I broke a big one. I broke a big one off in Apopka in practice too. But it just wasn't like what we were seeing there. And those fish, we were just fishing for them differently. And I just so after day one, I was feeling pretty good. Day 2 and 3, I was like, man, this is tough. And then after day 4, I realized I was like, man, we have a shot to win this thing if these fish bite there tomorrow and we execute. And it was just you're sitting there boat 207 out of 248 and you're just hearing, I've never been, if I'm boat 45 in a tournament, I'm like, man, this is brutal. But to be like, you're hearing 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, and you're like, man, one of these guys is going to definitely stumble upon it. And then just the whole time mentally, you're sitting there like, this is going to be a big risk going that far. And that's just another thing with these big tournaments on these bigger lakes is guys up here don't understand. Like if you run to a spot and somebody's not here, you just run another quarter of a mile, half mile down the lake and you have another spot right there. I mean, this is miles away. This is hours of your day going to where we were going. And with the no wake zones and the idle onlys, that was mainly just what was going through my head is just, man, I hope all this lines up the way we need it to. And it did. And unfortunately, we just didn't really execute like we needed to.
Yeah, we still had a good shot. Though.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great shot. I mean, it took me a couple weeks to really appreciate what happened down there. I didn't really feel that great about it at first, but it took me and Destin I know Destin felt the same way, but after a while, everybody's saying, messaging you and going, pick your head up. And it was a fun week and learning curve. And I just hope that we get a chance to do it again someday, man. That's really all I could ask for is another chance at it.
Yeah, I really hope we make it to Hartwell. I'm not going to be able to fish the whole series again, so hopefully Tyler can get it done and I can sub in for a tournament and help them. But Hartwell's a place that I've done pretty well at, especially in the fall, so I'd really like to go there next year. But I mean, yeah, like he said, like it was hard to take a little bit, but going into the tournament, I told him, I was like, Tyler, if this is meant to be, it's going to happen. That's how winning is. Yeah. No matter what you do, it's going to work. And that's what happened for Aaron and his dad. I mean, we watched it happen about 200-300 yards away. Like when they hooked up, it went in the net. We're both throwing treble hooks, and there's so much that can go wrong with a big fish in that case. And they were getting in the net a lot of times, and some of ours did not. And when it's your time, it's your time. When it's not, there's nothing you can do to change it, and you just accept it and be happy that you had a good tournament in that case, even with all those missed opportunities. I'm very grateful for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean that's something that took me a couple days to realize too. Is it didn't really go the way I was hoping that it would go, but man, it could have went a lot worse too. Losing a couple more of those fish at the boat would have been even worse. So was really fortunate to get the fish in that we did.
Yeah, I mean, the first day I caught an 8-7. I mean, that is the kind of bite that makes your day. I mean, that makes your bag, especially with how tough it was fishing. The weights are not great at the Harris chain this year for some reason. And, having anywhere around that upper teens, 20 pounds is like stellar right now. So us to get up to like 18 pounds the first day and that 8-7 late in the day, I mean, we were high-fiving. We were so pumped. I mean, we knew that was a game-changing fish. And, even we caught 16 something like immediately once we switched day 2 and just then, just the execution part. But I mean, we knew we were safe. Like we were definitely getting a top 5, already about halfway through the day. So it was nice, but obviously you want to execute and win. I mean, if you get in that position, you just want to put it foot on throttle, which we did. It just wasn't our time.
Yeah, we got a big like that. It gets momentum going, and boy, your confidence, momentum just keeps rolling.
Yeah, when we actually fished day 1 on this spot for a good while, and I think we probably had like 14 or 15 pounds at the time, maybe even a little less. And I hooked one that was about 6 on a drop shot. I looked at Destin and I was like, man, we saw fish all over live and they just weren't doing it. Anything you threw in front of them, they were not doing it. And I was like, dude, I'm going to rig up a drop shot and throw a drop shot down on them. I was like, I'm fishing for them just like we do in the North.
Yep.
And he was like, on a tournament like this, he's like, if you have a hunch, just go for it. Rigged up a drop shot. And we actually caught a few on deeper weed lines on a drop shot earlier in the week, but no big ones. And sure enough, first cast, I flip a drop shot in, and Destin's like, you landed right on one's head. And we backed off of them, and it just right away. And fought him for probably 2 minutes.
I had the net ready.
And then had the net ready. He jumped once, made it through that, no issues. And then this fish jumped again, and then he took the hardest surge ever, man, and he just popped it like that, just boom, like that. And Destin's like, what happened? I was like, he broke it. And I never break fish off, and Destin knows I never break fish off. And so for me to break one off, I was like, man, and we saw it twice. It jumped twice. So then we were like, well, then at that point we were like, we're in the right area. We're doing the right thing. Because at that time, we were like, do we go try to call one of these 2s at one of these other grass lines or something? And we're like, nah, we need to die on this spot for the rest of the day. And we sat right on that same spot, man, and casted about 70 more times. And then Destin punked up with that 8-7. So
wow,
that fish it was just every fish was a clue, man, but it just wasn't, unfortunately, it just wasn't the clue that got into the boat. But everything just kept rolling and it just kept going, and we just kept piecing it together piece by piece. And then by day 2, we knew we were in the area of giants. We really knew what was there by day 2. And yeah, man, just like Aaron told us too, he was fishing 300 yards down when they caught that 9-pounder. We saw him catch the 9, and every single fish we were catching on a crankbait was just like hanging off the side of its mouth. And we said, hey, what, that 9, how did it eat it? And he goes, it got it all the way down its throat. He said it got it all the way down. He said all they saw was line hanging out of its mouth. So I think right there, it just goes to show. And I mean, we were pretty much throwing the same colored crankbaits and same everything. It's just pretty basic shad patterns. And it just was their fish got their lures better than ours. That's literally all that happened. And it was his time. And I made a pretty good friendship with Aaron out of it. He's a really good kid. And I really hope he does good in the Classic, and youngest kid to ever qualify. So obviously it was his time to win, and that's just not my time. So just got to take that as it is and learn from it, and hope we can get back and do it again.
Definitely.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. I mean, believe me, we
no pressure,
speak
Tyler,
things into
no pressure.
Yeah, I would say all year we've just been me and Destin are just big, speaking into existence kind of guys, From the day we were driving down there, from the minute we left, we were like, yeah, we're going down here to win this thing. And really, it's after you catch a 5-pounder in practice in the first 20 minutes that you're fishing, you're like, yeah, this could happen for real. So yeah, it was a good experience. It was awesome. It really gave me the confidence too that me and Destin have the tools to compete in a lot of different tournaments, and we could be pretty versatile too.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Rick says 30-pound bags were crazy that weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron caught a few of them.
Yeah, he was
did.
the only one.
Yeah.
We saw them. We just didn't put them in the boat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a tournament like that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, you don't get away with missing that many big fish. I mean,
we do.
Everybody knows.
You're not going to get that many chances.
Tournament fishing.
Yeah.
Like, we were in the hot seat forever, but I was like, I knew.
Yeah, and that was the thing too with the hot seat. You were just sitting there. You were like, oh man, you were like, if I would have just landed one more, we'd be here for a lot longer right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, people were texting me. I was like, it's not going to last. It's not going to last.
Yeah.
Like Jody White from MLF was texting me, and I was like, dude, he's like, you might win this. And I was like, no. I was like, we're not going to win.
I know one guy coming up. I know one guy coming up.
Yeah, I was like,
they held off some big bags off to the side too.
Well, there was only a couple big bags, but like when I saw some of those fish like from away in the net, and they took up the whole net. I was like, Tyler, that was like a 9-pounder. I was like,
yeah, we saw.
They definitely have upper 20, 30 pounds. And when we left, we knew we had 16 or 17 pounds, and I was like, it was their day. They're gonna win or make the fish off, and hats off to them. And we fished a good tournament. We did what we could. It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, Bass usually does that too with big bags. It seems like. The year Paul Mueller qualified for the elites, I was fishing against him up at Sebago for the state for the regional. He had a 9-pounder, and I think that was that weighed almost as much as 75% of the bags that were brought in for the tournament.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of it's not common in that name there.
No, but what would you think? What would you say is a couple of the things that make you guys good, or would qualify somebody for a good team fishing dynamic? I guess.
Yeah, I mean the ego thing is big. If you both got big egos and you're butting heads all the time, it's never going to work. I think just the ability to feed off each other, how the other one's fishing, and just kind of do something else, that's picking up other bites is a big thing. Kind of like, you guys do as co-anglers to be a good co-angler. Because I mean, I was a co-angler. I know if you added up the weight in the boat with, me and a pro some days would be like, dang, that'd be a good day. And that's kind of what you
Yeah.
got to do with like a team tournament.
Yeah.
It's like I'm fishing for other fish, or, I'm maximizing the way that I fish in the boat and we're just putting it together. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not like, oh, I got to throw at every blob, you see up there, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we Destin likes to power fish a lot, and I like to finesse fish a lot. So it's a really good front back combo too, for the most part. And we're both really good at scope too. So if he catches one on live real quick, and sometimes he's put one in the net, I can run up there too and just catch one on live too. So it works out really well. But yeah, just like he said, egos too, man. That's the biggest thing. We both really respect each other's opinion out there, and he respects what I have to say, and he doesn't have to. He has a lot more credibility than I do, but he does, and he listens to me, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. And I listen to him sometimes, and sometimes it pays off, and sometimes it doesn't. But we both know that if each other has a hunch, we just trust each other. I think that's another thing too, is just the trust factor with it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tyler's always good to catch a big fish too. Every day I'm like, all right, man, you haven't caught one. It's time. You need to catch a big one.
Yeah.
For some reason, he always catches a big fish.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yep.
Well, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. It sounds like a communication too. You guys communicate well, and you kind of understand what each role is. So that's huge too.
Yeah, I mean that's another big thing too. As the co-angler in the boat, I went to that tournament knowing that I was the co-angler in the boat. And sometimes you just got to step back and let the guy in the front of the boat work a little bit. And especially sometimes in Erie smallmouth tournaments, man, part of the gig can be just keeping those fish alive and keeping a constant eye on those Erie smallies in a live well, man. I mean, you could lose them pretty quick. So I know sometimes in July,
30, 40 fish too. So like it's hard.
If Destin's individually scoping some fish, and I got to fizz them and ice them down and make sure those things are healthy for him. So, I mean, it's there's more to it sometimes than just being the guy catching fish back there, or catching a big fish, I'd say. And we really work good that way, I'd say. Calling fish, we have a really good system down. It really we call really fast and keep fish alive really well, and just all aspects, I think. This year we did really clean.
Here's a question for the mental side of it. Was it because you probably didn't get as many bites down there as you do on Erie? How did that play into effect at all for you guys?
I mean, I told Tyler that going in. So like I've fished the Sabine River. I've fished these places that don't even have bass, because essentially, you know what I mean? Like Knoxville, we went to Fort Lauderdale, kind of thing. So I'm used to fishing for few bites. So even though we fish up here, like honestly, it's a treat, being able to fish and catch tons of fish like up here up north like we do. But I fished so many grinder, tough tournaments that, I mean, I embrace that. I like that. And I told Tyler going in, I was like, dude, we might be fishing for 5-7 bites a day, but we're going to be fishing around the right ones. We're going to be fishing for like the techniques to catch the right fish. And we just got to capitalize. And that's how Florida is. I mean, the tournaments I've done well in Florida, I capitalize on my bites. That might be the only 5 fish I catch, but I have, 20 pounds or whatever. And the times that I didn't, a lot of times I had 20 pounds, but an 8-pounder came off, or like that's the difference between 12 pounds and 20 pounds. That's those opportunities just come, infrequently, especially in the winter when the bite's slow or tough. It's definitely, they've been beat on all year. So going in, I think that was the mindset. And I mean, like I said, our mindset is we're grinders. We want to embrace that. We want that. If we're only going to get that, it's fine. I mean, if we have that kind of tournament, we're good with it, because we know if I catch 3 and he catches 2, or he catches 4 and I catch 1, it doesn't matter. We're gonna get those bites. We're gonna get our bites, and we're gonna do our best to get them in the boat.
Nice.
Yeah, and even when that big one came off first day, that was just like, really, honestly, mentally, that was like, okay, we're doing the right thing. There's fish bigger here than that one we saw day one. They're way bigger. And then Destin catches that next one, and then it's like, mentally, for me, it was, I mean, like Destin said, there's tournaments up here. One of the tournaments we qualified that we did pretty good in. I think at Shenango, I think we got 7th or 8th. We got 6 keepers in that tournament, and 4 of them came in the last hour on one spot on a crankbait. So, I mean, it was just like, and those were just 16 to 17-inch fish. So when you go down there and you see an 8-pounder after grinding all day, you're like, you feel a lot more comfortable about grinding for 3 to 4 bites a person when they're that size. Mentally, I think for me that made it a lot easier to know. I mean, I could fish all day without catching a fish and go home and know that I learned something. But when you're fishing down there for that size of bass, you're like, every single cast you felt it. It wasn't really like, for me, it really wasn't as big of a grind as it should have been, I think, because I've never really fished for fish that big. And so it was just every cast I was pretty locked in. And maybe too that played against me. I thought about that too for a couple weeks. I might have been fishing too tight down there for him, and that could be why I lost him too. So I don't really know if that was necessarily the right thing to do, looking back on it mentally. But yeah, I think next time I gotta maybe loosen up a little bit. And I think sometimes fishing like that sometimes can be bad too.
Yeah.
And I mean, I told him, like, this is the first experience you're getting in a big tournament. It's going to be different. We're going to have bumps along the road. And I mean, even I've done a ton of them, and you still have them. You can't control everything in fishing. The first fish that we caught the second day when I got on the crankbait thing, that thing was down its throat. Like, it was as deep as it could be. And I switched up the cadence, and boom, they started eating it. They started eating it. Boom, we hit a 4.5, 4.5, 5. And then I lost that giant one. And like, we figured that out, and it just, like, you just have to, you just stay in the flow, and things are going to happen that you can't control. You try your best to control what you can. And you just go with it. If it's going to happen this way and you did everything you could, then there's nothing to, fret about.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. On the mental side too, like you show up at a grinder tournament, it's tough bite. Half the field's gonna say, "Oh man, we're fishing the wrong time of year. Why we fish this lake?" Half the fields took themselves out.
Oh,
I'd say like 75% were saying that, and then that was really just like, for me too, it's just like, to be in a tournament that big. It's my first one ever, and then to actually have a shot to like go out.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably would have been easier on me mentally if we would have just had 8 pounds a day and been like, well, we made it there and we had a shot. We did good. We had a limit each day, but it was a little more than that to go down there, and everybody from home's texting you, watching you on Bass Track, and we didn't do anything on live, so everybody's just blowing you up all day. They're like, you don't have any? What's the word, man? You catching them? And it was just nonstop. It was just a crazy week all around, man. Like me and Destin said, by the time we hit the pillow every single night, man, you didn't even close your eyes before you fell asleep. It was just, we were so mentally exhausted. It wasn't even really physically, yeah, you were tired, man, but it was really just such a mental grinder that week. And you're going to sleep after that first night of the tournament going, man, they're there tomorrow. Like, you're thinking about them. So,
yeah, that's what I was glad that he got to see, and I was excited to see how he responded to that. Is just what a week looks like, what it feels like, and just, I think people don't really understand how absolutely fatiguing mentally that practicing and fishing these big tournaments can be. And Tyler's on our construction crew with Third Edge. After we met, he started working for us, and he's a really good installer for us now. And said, Tyler, so do you want to do this, or do you want to go back to work? He's like, yeah, man.
I was ready to go back to work, man. I think for the first time, came Monday morning.
You were excited.
Yeah, I was like, waking up Monday morning and going to work doesn't seem as bad as it sounded the other day. Because if I had to do that every week, man, I'd be a wreck.
Oh yeah.
I was about to
and
ask.
I couldn't even. And it's nice too because it's like I had Destin there all week. I could just lean on him and be like, "I'm freaking out, man. What do I do?" And he'd be like, "Just relax, bring it back in." But it's like if I was by myself with just some co-angler in the back, I don't know, man. I get pretty high strung out there and pretty excited. So I think it would have been a lot to bring it back in.
Yeah, so you plan. Are you planning on fishing any of the Toyota series or Open series now that you got a taste of it?
I don't think I'm quite ready to get there yet. I'm still kind of just enjoying fishing the local stuff.
Okay.
We have a really good local series around, and there's a decent bit of money to be made. And I think in the next couple of years, I might look into being a co-angler on a few of those St. Lawrence River and stuff. Dustin's been mentioning it because I could drag a drop shot out of the back of the boat with the best of them. So,
yeah, done that many times out of the back of the boat.
Yeah.
I've never picked up a drop shot, so
never.
No, never.
I have trouble believing that.
Yeah.
No, I think I have 3 or 4 drop shot rods, but you did say that you did use a drop shot down there for a little bit. Was it anything the setup the same as it was up here, the 4 and 6 8-pound test, or did you have to beef it up a little bit?
I used 8, but I probably should have beefed up to 12. But I just really thought too, with a loose drag down there that you'd be able to play him a little bit. I'm a big ice fisherman, and sometimes up here I'll use 3/4 pound, 1 pound tests to catch these panfish, like 14 2-pound panfish. So line size, and sometimes on Erie on finicky days, we'll use 4 pound. We'll go all the way down to 4. And if you play your drag right and you have the right action rod, it usually isn't too big of a deal. But I wasn't prepared for these runs that those largemouths were making, man. I mean, when you get one over 6 down there, those things are just complete animals. I mean, the surges is what the reel almost couldn't even hold up. Like the drag couldn't even keep up with the amount of tension that was being pulled off. And that's what caused it to pop. So I think, probably beefing up is the right move down there. Basically catching a bass down there off of a spinning rod is your best bet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've heard that for a lot of guys down there. Talking about Toyotas, I went to Gunnersville a couple years ago, and I was a co-angler, and it was 325 boats, and we had a 2-hour fog delay. So we're just sitting there, bobbing like corks for like a couple hours. That's something else. And they don't move your weigh-in time the same weigh-in time. So guys that had long runs, maybe had an hour if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's changing your whole strategy a lot of times when you get those fog delays. Just like, I wasn't going to start there, but it's not worth it.
Yeah, definitely. It
was
a crazy
I missed the morning bite. I missed this, so I'm just going to keep moving.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a morning bite is anymore up here.
No.
We're about 40 minutes in, guys. So I just lost that question about Andrew says there's a lot of junk in the water too. We beef up the line quite a bit.
Yeah, I told Tyler.
That shell.
You're wrestling dinosaurs here with goat rope and broomsticks. That's
yeah. Any local we saw that week didn't have anything under. Most of them just used straight braid for the most part, from what I saw. A lot of the local guys, but if they didn't, they had on 25, or everybody had on some super beefy stuff. So I think I got a little antsy with them, and I just wanted to fish like I did up north, and I did get one to bite right away. But as soon as I caught that one, it was really weird. I couldn't get another bite on it for a little while too. So, and I did switch over to 12-pound test. So I don't know.
You did catch one not too long after that.
I did
2.5 or 3.
Yeah, like a 2.5 pounder.
It was a good rebound.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
So you interested in getting a new boat at all? Because I know somebody that's trying to sell one.
Yeah, hopefully someone wants a new boat.
It'll be a nice one. It'll be a nice one.
It's a beaut. Tyler
Live
can
wells
talk
work.
about it too.
The live wells work good.
That's a good thing.
It's a nice, comfy co-angler ride. You got your rod locker there to put your rods in.
Smoothest
what
ride
brand
on
is
the
it?
Great Lakes.
Yep.
It's a 21 PHX Phoenix.
Okay. Yeah, Phoenix, they are a nice ride.
Yeah.
Rick says down there they use rope.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying.
It is pretty cool when you're in grass and you set the hook and the braid just looks like a laser beam going through grass like a weed eater.
Mm.
That's pretty cool.
One time I was at open at Toho and I had like 10 minutes left and I was like, all right, I'm gonna pull into this mat right by the way, and then I got bit out of it. I flip in there, I'm like, oh dude, there's one. I jam them on braid and the whole mat just goes. The line just rips the whole thing.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, this is a big one.
Yep.
7-pounder.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
See, that'd have been a catfish for me.
Yeah, right.
Or
A
drum.
lot of
Or
times
drum.
it is. It's a sheephead up here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
catch a lot of Jerome.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, we got them in Tennessee, Kentucky also.
Oh yeah, and all the rivers got them pretty heavy too.
We actually, after all the chaos on day 2 too, we were just about to move off that spot, and Destin's like, let's fish it for a couple more minutes. And it was right after Destin missed the one big crankbait fish, and we were seeing gar everywhere that week. But absolutely none of them. You could swim a worm right past its face, and none of them would even like think about touching it.
Yep.
And sure enough, I'm throwing a jig. I drag a jig on it, last cast. I feel something thump it. I set the hook. I'm like, Destin, I got one, giant. And we're like, all right, we got one off of a treble hook. We finally got one to eat the football jig. We're fighting it. Destin just tosses the net down and goes, it's a gar. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. So we get the gar up, and he's like, as soon as you get that thing off, we're moving. And I'm trying to grab it. Every single time I put my hand on it, it just freaks out, flops all over the place. Happened like 6 times. Finally, I get it. I just pop the jig. The jig literally just falls right out of his mouth. I go to send him back. He opens his mouth up and just clipped his snout right down my arm. Next thing you know, me and Destin are looking at each other. He's like, he got you. I was like, yep. Just dripping blood everywhere from a gar. And we're like, man, this is just not happening for us right now.
That was a sign to move.
It was just like the sign. That was the sign that we officially killed the spot. So,
Yep.
Yeah, that's the red flag. That's the red flag.
Yeah, that was the
Became the gar hole.
Yeah.
Especially too because it was just like we couldn't catch a bass off of the crank that day for like that period of time, and finally get one on a straight hook. You were like, all right, we're getting this one on, and of course he stayed on too, right next to the boat for several minutes.
No.
All right. Well, we're at the point of the show where I like to let you guys talk about your sponsors and things like that, if you'd like to. And go right ahead.
Definitely want to give a shout out to DurEdge. Like I said, Tyler and I both work for DurEdge. He works for our installation portion, home field, which is part of DurEdge. But DurEdge has been a huge supporter of mine for the last 9 years since I started. Grant's a great guy. The company's growing like crazy. We just signed a deal. We're sponsoring minor league baseball.
Wow.
So that's going to be quite an adventure. I'm going to be at a lot of those events and doing things for that. I've taken a lot of those minor league guys fishing over the years, done cookouts, brought the boat. I fished with a minor league guy last week, actually, down in Florida. So, we've had a really good relationship with professional baseball in general. So it's really cool that, we're able to do that. X2 Power, that's been a godsend. Actually, I wasn't even sponsored by them when I got my first X2. I was at St. Clair and Elite, and I kept losing power in practice. I couldn't even get through a practice day. And I went to Batteries Plus, where you can get them, and got it. I was like, I don't even care. I'm going to buy a $500 31 AGM just to make sure I don't go dead. And I got an X2 cranking battery, and I was like, dang, this is the best. I asked a bunch of my buddies, like, what's the best? For running like a lot of electronic stuff, I got the X2 and never looked back. And then I got a sponsorship with them maybe a year or two later. So it's been a good relationship there. My buddy Phil Turwitt Team Realty in Florida. I used to live down there, and he's been a good supporter as well. I just saw him while I was down there. Shout out to Turwitt Team. If you're looking for real estate in Florida, he's the man. Also, Rabid Baits was a big supporter this last year. I want to give them a shout out. Make some cool stuff. We actually caught a couple key fish on the shaker worm at one of our local tournaments at Evans Lake. We caught a 20-some pound bag there, so that was key. Those fish were super pressured. Put that on and caught another big 4+ pounder. So they're definitely really good baits. Owner hooks, Fish Sense lures, Binsky. Tyler just caught like a 40-inch muskie through the ice on a Binsky the other day. That's the best blade bait in the market. I've been with them for over 10 years, probably 12, 13 years. Steven's a good friend of mine. He's a really, really good fisherman too. Fish Sense, the best blade bait. A lot of knockoffs off the Binsky now, but
best blade bait on the market.
Yes.
Through the ice and in open water. I can attest to that.
Yep. Phoenix boats, power pole, they've been great. If I can ever get my new boat, I got some new cool stuff from Power Pole on the new rig. But Lawrence has been a great sponsor. That Active Target was crucial. I run two, so I run a forward and I run a scout, and that was really key. The scout was a huge deal for us in that tournament. We were able to see a lot of those fish like all over the place, and just see how many fish were there and be able to cast to those clusters of them a lot easier. It's really helpful for us on Erie too. It's a really good shallower water way to see him on that scout mode. Who else? There's plenty. Buck and Bass.
Western PA Team Bass Series.
Yeah, thanks, Western PA.
Frank, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And they covered a part of our entry, so that was really nice because there is an entry fee for the team series. We both came home and got those checks, so that was super cool of them. It's a really good series. It's fun to fish. A lot of good fishermen in there. A lot of really good fishermen. So it's always fun for some good competition too.
Sweet. Now, in Knoxville, they got a brand new minor league stadium going in. I'm sure Dured's going to be on that. That's going to be nice.
I would assume so. I don't know if 100% sure. Is that the Smokies?
Yeah. Smokies moving from Sevierville to downtown Knoxville. It's going to be nice.
I'm assuming so. I don't know for 100%, but I would assume so.
Cool.
Nice. All right. So, if you don't mind, give us a couple tips on what it takes to be a good team fisherman.
Yeah, I think just the ego thing was big. I think just being able to know what the other person's gonna do after you fish together a little bit, and just know hey, they're down about losing this fish, and you got to pick them up, help pick them up, and just understanding what the other person's going through and doing, and just helping each other be strong and good together. It's a good team aspect of it.
Yeah, it's just like anything else, man. It's once you get in a good rhythm, it's just like football, or anything else. A good pitcher and a catcher. Once you get that same combo going, you just know what that guy's going to want to call before you don't even have to put the sign down. You know what pitch he's going to throw. And I think once you just get on that same rhythm and get on that same wavelength, man, it clicks. And you really don't even I fished with a lot of people, and I fished a lot of tournaments. There's some people that I love fishing with, but I wouldn't be able to fish tournaments with them because just the certain competitiveness to it too. I think Destin was a big athlete, and he hates losing. And I think myself, it's just I hate losing too, sometimes more than I even like to win. So I think our competitive aspect is really there too, whether we're fishing 5 boats or 250, 500, the goal's never not the same. So, and There's never a day Destin steps in the boat and just goes, yeah, I just want to go have a fun tournament and catch a couple fish and weigh a limit in. We've never said that to each other from the first day we ever fished a tournament together.
That's when I'll stop fishing is when that fire is not there.
Yeah,
anymore.
when I don't have that fire anymore, I don't want to do it anymore.
I can't blame you. But Rob, anything else from you?
Oh no, that's good tips on team stuff. I had an older gentleman I was fortunate enough to fish with, and we hit it off good. Fortunately, he passed away last year, but I learned just a ton from him, and we just got along good. We clicked. I mean, it was like you guys. It was just amazing. The respect we had for each other, and we got to know, what we liked, what we didn't like. So,
I actually, when I first got into bass fishing, there's an old timer around here, Jack Waltz. He's been fishing for a long time, and he writes for our local newspaper, and he puts on a pretty big charity tournament, and I got linked up with him, and I've been pretty fortunate to learn a lot from him. And between him and Destin, it's just like I get that new school aspect, but I also get that old school. And sometimes, man, that old school mindset really does come into to play. I think more times than people really give it credit for, especially in springtime around here in the shallow deal. I learned a lot about shallow fishing from him, and there's still a time and place for that too. So there's definitely still a time, and there's definitely still tournaments that he catches fish when I don't, and I'm out there live scoping, and he's out there flipping weeds. So I definitely learn from him a lot, and I'm pretty fortunate to get to fish with him a decent bit and learn from him and learn from Destin too. So.
Yeah, you got the best of both worlds there, man. You got to
I always tell I coach student fishing league. It's a pretty big program in Ohio too, and I have a kid that I take, Rowan Kelly, and he's all just about electronics, man. Every tournament that we've fished with him, it seems like it's always an electronics deal, man.
He's a stud, by the way. He's a stud.
He's a hammer. Shout out to you, Rowan. I'm sure he'll be on here one day too. So he was just always telling me, man, he's like, I'm just going to scope. I'm like, I'm telling you, man, dial this spring program in shallow, because there's going to be some day that you're really going to need to do that too. Yep. So I think sometimes I have to reel myself in and remind myself that I have to teach him some of that aspects too, some of the Jack Waltz aspects. Jack actually has a really good book too, Common Angler, that I know Destin was reading.
Yeah, I'm still in the process. I read like a chapter every night.
Yeah, really good read. Really good bass fishing book.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Nice.
So how long did you fish with your partner, Rob?
About 2 or 3 years, and it was a good run. I mean, we had some success and had a lot of fun. We had some adventures, let's say. So and even night fishing. I never went night fishing until I got with him. We had some night fishing. He taught me a lot about night fishing.
A lot of people love that night fishing.
Jack,
I sleep.
Jack swears by it, ironically enough, man.
No, I'm with you, Justin.
You got the time with him.
Yeah. It's pretty nice in the summer, though. You have to deal with the heat and the jet skiers and the pleasure boats. So
that is true.
It is kind of nice.
He said they bite good at night too.
They do. And they bite a jig really well at night. Let's just say.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So
they don't bite jigs on Oneida. Okay.
Is that what I need to be doing, John? Is that what you're telling me? No, I do throw a jig there quite a bit.
I figured you did.
Yeah, it's a good jig leg for sure. It's changed a lot in the last 10 years with the gobies. Has completely changed that place.
100%. I remember days on Oneida where 12 pounds you'd win.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And now it's 12 pounds. You're like, do I weigh them in or not?
Wow.
Usually, probably you're not going to.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good bags on Oneida. Like a lot of 18, 19, 20.
Jeez.
But it's hard. A lot of days you're getting 5-7 bites. You know, you're not getting a lot of bites anymore. You used to get a lot of bites, but they just weren't as big.
Correct. Yeah, the quality's gotten better. The bites have gotten shorter. Definitely.
Yeah, it's
all
weird.
Right, guys.
Happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much for coming on, talking about your experience. And Tyler, I hope you get to do a lot more of it. And Destin, you keep doing what
Thank
you
you.
do.
I
You'll be
appreciate
back
it,
up
guys.
there
Thanks
again.
for having us on. I enjoyed it.
All
All
right.
right.
Appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Yep. Nice
Appreciate it,
meeting you,
guys.
Rob
Have a
and
good
John.
one.
Always a pleasure.
All right.
I'll see you up at Champlain, Destin.
Yes, that's going to be a fun one.
I hope so.
Yeah, it will. It'll be a good time. Maybe you'll draw me. Who knows?
Hey, that would be great. I'll have cookies for you too, by the way.
Ooh, all right. Then I definitely want you to draw me. You just might not like if I go do my largemouth routine, though. That might not be the best, but we'll definitely fish for smallmouth at some point.
I'm not worried about it. I'm good up there on largemouth. I'm all right with that.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, Tyler, I mean, I know I had my wife and I had Destin on before, and we talked about this. But what is your favorite kind of cookie? Homemade cookie.
Favorite kind of homemade cookie. I'm a pretty classic chocolate chip guy, man. I love a good classic chocolate chip cookie.
That's why we're good team partners.
Yeah.
There you go. Can't go wrong with that. So
No, not at all. Never can.
all right,
Tyler's
guys.
got about the best snack game of any.
Yeah,
team
that's
partner
true.
ever.
I will say, Destin's snack game totally lacking before I got on the boat.
I'm a beef jerky and water. That's about it.
We should be sponsored by Little Debbie, I think, to be honest. At least for that tournament.
He brings snacks that I've never even heard of, and they're awesome. So
Yeah.
yes,
I'm the same
snack
way.
game is definitely crucial to a good team.
I'll bring pepperoni, cheese, pickles, cookies, sandwiches.
Maybe we should fish together more.
Wow.
I gotta say my partner Nick that I qualified with in Western PA, he pulls out some gourmet stuff, man. He could pull out a charcuterie board or any kind of pickles or cheese. You never know what's gonna come out of the cooler, man. I'll turn around and he's eating something gourmet. So.
Yeah, Rick used to live on Oneida. Now he's down in Florida for a little bit. I'm not sure if
he went the right direction.
Yeah, he went the right way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, guys, thank you very much again for coming on. And
thanks for having us.
You guys take care, have fun, be safe all season, and hope to get to meet you in person, Tyler.
Yeah, same to you.
All right,
guys. Good luck this season.
All right, tight lines, guys. Appreciate you.
All right,
have
a good one.
All right.
Yep.
Woo. All right.